Good evening and thank you for joining us. Last night's fire at the Finnish Labour Temple sent shockwaves throughout the community. The World Heritage Site going up in flames filled downtown Port Arthur with smoke as Thunder Bay fire crews tackled the blaze from all four sides. We'll have several stories covering the event. Up first, Corey Nordstrom was on scene shortly after the fire broke out. Here's what it looked like last night.
And all of a sudden, I'm at home and my kid says to me, "Hey, Mom, did you hear the Hoito is on fire?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Yeah, my friend texted me, said the Hoito's on fire."
Well, it was very devastating. I think it was hard to believe that losing not only the Hoito, but the building itself could be so devastating to so many people. I think it was devastating to so many because it had such deep roots in people's lives.
It took them 2 days, 3 days to put the fire out. It was just, I mean, you have to understand, however the fire started, it was very dry, old wood. It went up like a tinderbox, and at some point they felt that it was under control, but then somehow again, you know, a little pocket of super strong heat and everything flared up, and then the building collapsed and there was no way to save it. So yeah, there was no conclusive evidence on what started the fire, and I've heard, you know, there are rumors and things like that. I'm not interested. It was just a horrible, horrible accident. Yeah, devastating for like the whole community. We're just stunned. And then when you drive by, you know, every day and you see the firefighters still there, you know, in the crane, you know, with their fountains of water going in. Everything is frozen. You know, you see icicles dripping around the outside of whatever's left of the building. You know, it's I think we were in shock for weeks, actually. And when when you've grown up in that landscape and you drive by and all of a sudden it's not there anymore, it's really weird. Really weird. So, yeah. Now your eye's kind of used to the empty space. The history of the Finnish Labour Temple is actually the longer history. The building itself was built in 1910, and what's interesting is when I did do a little bit of reading about the history, that there's always been a restaurant in that building, but they didn't work out for some reason. But then, you know, I guess the need became greater because you had a lot of the bush workers, so people who worked in logging camps in the areas around Thunder Bay would come into town. They'd find lodging easily enough, but they wouldn't have anywhere to eat. So that's kind of the reasoning behind, or the impetus behind the Hoito restaurant originally. And so it was a question of a gathering. So they called people together to see who would like to take part in the creation of a cooperative. And they actually sold 59 shares of Comrade shares to raise enough money to actually start their cooperative. And that started on the 1st of May on 1918. And after that, we can say the rest is history.
Back then they had long wooden tables, and it was really a lot rougher of a look than what most people would probably remember, because back then it was still mostly for the bush workers who worked, you know, in the bush, came into town on the weekends.
It was certainly very much a part, you know, again, when I was a kid, it was certainly very much a part of the Finnish community, but it was also somewhere where everybody could go. You know, you could be, we called them kielisiä, so that means, I mean, the direct translation is the, I suppose, the tongue people, but really it means people who spoke English as opposed to Finnish, and but everybody was welcome there, and so I think that's, you know, there's not a lot of places like that, I don't think, anymore.
I'd say the 70s and the 80s were probably the decades that the Hoito would have been like just, there was lineups all the time, like, because they used to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it was so busy, and everybody wanted to go to the Hoito.
It was September 21st, 1987. I worked there for 32 and a half years. I was a waitress. I did work some in the kitchen a little bit, but most of the time I was a waitress, yeah. Okay. It was my first day. I went in for a 4-hour shift, and I told people that I was only going to work 1 year, and then I stayed. And stayed, and stayed.
And then COVID hit. March 20th, 2020, the doors of the Hoito closed indefinitely.
COVID hit, we had to close down, and that was it. Yeah, I never did go back then.
Honestly, we would be doing our ancestors proud to keep going. You know, we had a goal, and you know, the fire was, of course, absolutely heart-wrenching. There's a word that the Finns use to talk or to describe a sense of perseverance, a sense of grit, and it's called sisu. What it means is that, you know, you're moving forward. You can't really go backward. We focused on raising money because we knew that the expectations, financial expectations for opening up the restaurant have changed.
These are original bricks from the building itself, and they've been stenciled with the date the building was built and the date the building burned down. They are originals, like I said, and the whole idea behind this is it's a fundraiser to help in the restoration or rebuilding of the facade of the building. Oh, those are the original, yeah, they're the metal tiles from the roof from the cupola. Yeah, so they were also salvaged, which is really great because they're so, again, unique, interesting pieces of the building.
We knew that the project, the rebuild, would take a long time. And so we wanted to try and have a space where we could at least have part of the menu, part of the legacy items available to the public. So we're still we're so close now. We are so close to opening up the restaurant. But I don't even want to say that we'll be open, you know, whenever, because we've already blown through at least 3 or 4 different, you know, for deadlines. So we're trying to manage expectations, but I can honestly say now that it will be very, very soon where people can actually go to Thunder Bay Country Market on a Wednesday evening or a Saturday morning and have real Hoito pancakes made with, you know, the recipe that we all know and love.
It has such deep meaning for so many people. I think it really is important that it would reopen, I think, on so many levels. Not only did they have great food, great service, it was an iconic part of Thunder Bay.
I miss the place, but mostly I miss the people.
The support has been overwhelming. It continues to be, and that's what keeps us going, really, because we know that people want to see this happen, and we're grateful for that. So thank you, really. Stay tuned for the pancakes are coming.